The ultimatum, the message arrived on a Tuesday. Every screen on Earth flickered simultaneously. Personal devices, public displays, military terminals, all interrupted by the same transmission. The holographic image of High Commander Zix Tarl of the Ashtari Dominion loomed above stunned viewers worldwide, his four eyes blinking in their characteristic pattern that humans had come to recognize as contempt. "People of Earth," the translator rendered his clicks and whistles into smooth English. "The Galactic Council has deliberated upon your petition for full membership and has reached its decision." In the United Earth Defense Headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, Captain Elena Reyes watched with narrowed eyes. The diplomatic corps had spent years preparing Earth's application to the Galactic Council, hoping to graduate from the protectorate status that had been imposed upon humanity after first contact 20 years ago. "Your application has been denied," Zix Tarl continued, his mandibles spreading in what humans now recognized as the Ashtari equivalent of a smile. "Furthermore, the Council has determined that humanity represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability." A murmur swept through the command center. This wasn't just a rejection, it was something else entirely. Earth has demonstrated a troubling pattern of rapid technological advancement, resource consumption, and military expansionism within your solar system. The Council cannot permit such destabilizing elements to threaten the peace we have maintained for 10,000 cycles. Captain Reyes felt her blood run cold. She caught the eye of General Santos across the room. They had prepared for this possibility, but not so soon. Therefore, by unanimous decision of the Council's Security Committee, Earth is ordered to submit to full Dominion governance. Your military assets will be dismantled. Your advanced research facilities will be placed under Ashtari supervision. Your colonies on Mars and Europa will be administered directly by Council appointees. Zix Tarl paused, allowing his next words to land with full impact. "You have 48 Earth hours to signal your compliance by lowering all planetary defenses and preparing to receive our administrative fleet. Failure to comply will be considered an act of war against the Galactic Council. The consequences would be regrettable." The transmission cut off, leaving billions of humans in stunned silence. In the command center, General Santos immediately activated security protocols. "Implement Dark Shield. Now." Captain Reyes moved quickly to her station. "Activating Dark Shield, sir." Across Earth's communications networks, a special signal propagated, one that had been prepared years ago but never deployed until this moment. To outside observers, it would appear that Earth's communications were in disarray from panic. In reality, every military installation and key government facility was switching to the quantum-encrypted network that had been built in secret, hidden from the monitoring systems the Ashtari had installed when they graciously welcomed humanity to the galactic community. "Get me the Security Council," General Santos ordered, "and notify Admiral Chen to initiate Horizon Protocol." Captain Reyes nodded grimly. The Horizon Protocol. After years of preparation, it was finally happening. 6 hours later, Elena Reyes stood in the Situation Room beneath the United Nations complex in Geneva. World leaders and top military officials had assembled, some physically present, others attending via secure quantum holographic projections. "The intelligence from our deep cover operatives confirms it," Admiral Marcus Chen was saying, his weathered face grave on the main display. The Admiral was speaking from somewhere in the belt, though only a handful of people knew his exact location. "The Ashtari have been planning this for years. Their administrative fleet includes 5 Dreadnought-class warships and over 300 support vessels. This isn't an administrative action, it's an invasion force. Can we negotiate?" asked the Chinese premier. "Perhaps agree to some concessions while maintaining our sovereignty?" "The Ashtari don't negotiate," responded the Secretary General of the UN. "Every species that has tried has ended up as a client state or worse. Look at the Tellurians or the Vox, once proud civilizations, now little more than resource providers for the Dominion." General Santos stepped forward. "We've spent 20 years preparing for this possibility. Since first contact, when the Ashtari presented themselves as benevolent guides to the galactic community, We've maintained the appearance of compliance while building our strength in secret. Operation Shadow Fleet, murmured the American president. Is it ready? All eyes turned to Admiral Chen. He nodded slowly. Shadow Fleet is operational. We have 37 warships equipped with the Nexus drive, hidden throughout the solar system. Another 22 are stationed at the Alpha Centauri outpost. They don't know about our breakthrough in shield technology or our advances in kinetic weaponry. They think our most advanced ships are the outdated cruisers we've allowed them to monitor. Elena felt a flutter of pride. She had been part of the Shadow Fleet initiative since its inception, helping to design the stealth systems that kept humanity's true military capabilities hidden from Ashtari sensors. What about civilian casualties? Asked the European Federation. Chancellor, if we resist, they'll target population centers. The sanctuary protocol is ready, Elena spoke up. Our planetary shield generators can protect major cities, and we've prepared evacuation procedures for vulnerable areas. The underground habitats that we've been officially building as research stations can house 30% of the global population if needed. The Indian Prime Minister leaned forward. And what are our chances if we fight? Admiral Chen's expression was grim, but determined. Better than they think. The Ashtari believe they're facing a technologically inferior species with minimal space combat capability. They expect token resistance at best, but our simulations give us a 63% chance of repelling their initial invasion force. And if we fail? The question hung heavy in the air. Then humanity goes extinct, General Santos said bluntly. The Ashtari don't tolerate rebellion. They would make an example of us to the rest of the galaxy. The room fell silent as the magnitude of the decision before them sank in. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. The United Nations Security Council will now vote on Resolution 2187, authorizing the implementation of the Horizon Protocol and activating Shadow Fleet for defensive operations. The vote was unanimous. Elena felt a weight settle onto her shoulders. She had trained for this moment, but the reality of it, that humanity was about to engage in its first interstellar war, was sobering. Captain Reyes, Admiral Chen called to her as the meeting dispersed. Prepare to transfer to the UES Defiant. You'll be leading Strike Group Alpha. Elena's heart jumped. The Defiant was Shadow Fleet's flagship, equipped with the most advanced technology humanity had developed in secret. Yes, Admiral, when do I depart? Immediately. The Ashtari will be monitoring all official spaceports, so you'll use the Montana Shadow facility. A shuttle is waiting. 12 hours later, Elena stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, a warship that officially didn't exist. Hidden in a camouflaged dock within Ceres, the vessel represented humanity's greatest technological achievement and its best hope for survival. Status report, she ordered as she took her position in the captain's chair. All systems optimal, Captain, responded Commander Park, her XO. Nexus drive at full capacity. Kinetic batteries charged. Shield generators online. Elena nodded. And the rest of Strike Group Alpha? The Intrepid, Valiant, and Phoenix are all reporting ready, Captain. They're maintaining stealth positions as ordered. Elena turned to the tactical display. The massive Ashtari fleet was already moving through the outer reaches of the solar system, exactly as intelligence had predicted. They expected no resistance until they reached Earth orbit, where they would demand the formal surrender of humanity before their overwhelming force. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Communications. Send authentication. Alpha 9 Delta. To all Shadow Fleet vessels, Elena ordered. Tactical, prepare firing solutions on the Ashtari command ships. Let's remind them why they should have left Earth alone. As the crew sprang into action, Elena allowed herself one brief moment to contemplate the enormity of what was about to happen. For 20 years, humanity had played the role of the humble newcomer to galactic society, accepting the limitations imposed upon them, presenting an image of technological inferiority while secretly preparing for this very day. The Ashtari Dominion had expected Earth's submission. They were about to experience humanity's wrath instead. Strike Group Alpha, disengage. Stealth systems and prepare to jump, she commanded. Let's show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Throughout the solar system, vessels that had been hidden in the shadows of asteroids, moons, and planetary magnetic fields powered up their systems. The Shadow Fleet was awakening, and the Ashtari were about to learn that they had made a terrible mistake. Humanity was done pretending to be weak. The hidden arsenal as the UES Defiant emerged from its hidden dock within Ceres. Its stealth field momentarily shimmered before stabilizing. For 20 years, humanity had maintained the elaborate illusion of technological mediocrity, while secretly building a fleet that could stand against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Elena remembered the day it all began, fresh out of the United Earth Space Academy when Admiral Chen had recruited her into Project Shadow. The Ashtari don't respect weakness, he had told her, but they fear strength they don't understand. Our job is to make sure they never understand us until it's too late. On the bridge of the Defiant, Commander Park handed her a secure tablet. Final reports from all Shadow Fleet vessels, Captain. Admiral Chen is coordinating from the Artemis base on the far side of the moon. Elena reviewed the data. 37 warships within the solar system, all equipped with technology that the Ashtari believed humans were centuries from developing. Another 22 stationed at Alpha Centauri, ready to strike from behind if necessary. It wasn't a large fleet by galactic standards, but what it lacked in numbers it made up for in technological superiority. Lieutenant Rodriguez, connect me to fleet-wide communications, she ordered. The young officer worked his console. Channel open, Captain. Elena took a deep breath. This is Captain Reyes to all Shadow Fleet vessels. For 20 years we have prepared for this day. We have built in secret, trained in silence, and waited patiently. Today humanity stands at the precipice of either extinction or true independence in the galaxy. She paused, letting her words reach every ship in the fleet. The Ashtari believe they face a primitive species barely capable of interplanetary travel. They expect us to surrender in the face of their superior numbers. Instead, they will find a humanity united, determined, and far more dangerous than they ever imagined. Execute. Operation Sunburst, Godspeed to you all. 20 years earlier, when the Ashtari ships first appeared in Earth orbit, humanity had been awestruck. Alien contact, the dream of generations, had finally happened. The visitors presented themselves as representatives of an ancient and benevolent galactic community, offering to guide humanity into a new era of interstellar cooperation. Within months, Earth had been granted protectorate status. The Ashtari established an embassy in Geneva and began sharing carefully controlled technology, improvements in medicine, agriculture, and clean energy. But they also imposed restrictions: no independent development of faster-than-light travel, limitations on space colonization, and constant monitoring of Earth's communications and military capabilities. Most humans embrace this new relationship, seeing it as a fast track to the stars. But Admiral Marcus Chen, then a newly appointed commander in the United Earth Space Force, had seen something different in the Ashtari's eyes: a predatory calculation, a patronizing amusement at humanity's gratitude. He had quietly assembled a team of Earth's brightest minds, scientists, engineers, strategists, and secured authorization for what would become Shadow Fleet. Their mission: to create a technological safety net for humanity, developing in secret the capabilities that would ensure Earth's independence if the Ashtari's true intentions ever became clear. Dr. Sophia Nakamura had been their first breakthrough. Studying the limited FTL technology the Ashtari had provided, she had discovered a fundamental flaw in their approach. They're using a brute force method, she had explained to Elena during one late-night lab session, tearing a hole in space-time and forcing their way through. But there's a more elegant solution. What became known as the Nexus Drive was the result: an FTL system that used quantum entanglement to create a temporary bridge between 2 points in space. It required less energy than the Ashtari method, and left no detectable wake in subspace that could be tracked. Next came the adaptive shield technology developed by Dr. Kwame Osei. Unlike the static energy barriers used by most galactic civilizations, Earth's shields could analyze incoming weapons fire and adjust their frequency in real time, becoming more effective against prolonged attacks rather than weakening. but perhaps their greatest achievement was staying hidden. Every Shadow Fleet vessel was equipped with advanced stealth systems that bent light, absorbed radar, and dispersed heat signatures. The ships were constructed in secret facilities built inside asteroids or hidden beneath the surfaces of moons. The personnel were selected carefully, their families told they were working on deep space research missions, all while the official Earth Space Force maintained a small, outdated fleet of ships that the Ashtari observers could monitor and dismiss as primitive. Now, as Elena guided the Defiant toward its intercept position, she thought about the years of sacrifice and secrecy that had led to this moment. Marriages strained by absence and secrets, scientists working in isolation, unable to publish their breakthroughs, resources diverted from public projects to fund the Shadow program. All of it had been necessary. The intelligence gathered by human operatives who had managed to infiltrate the lower echelons of Ashtari society had confirmed their suspicions. The pattern was clear. The Ashtari Dominion identified promising species, presented themselves as mentors, imposed restrictions that prevented true advancement, and slowly drained resources while keeping the Protectorate dependent on Ashtari technology. Species that resisted were made examples of. The Tagorians had refused Ashtari guidance 60 years ago. Their homeworld was now a mining colony operated by Ashtari corporations. "Captain, we're approaching the engagement zone," Commander Park announced, pulling Elena from her thoughts. "The Ashtari fleet has passed Neptune's orbit. They're proceeding in standard formation. Dreadnoughts in the center, escort vessels, arranged in defensive layers." Elena studied the tactical display. The Ashtari were following textbook procedures for an administrative fleet entering a Protectorate system. Their weapons were powered but not primed for immediate use. Their shields were at standard cruise levels. They weren't expecting any significant resistance. "How long until they detect us?" she asked. "At current speed and heading, they'll be within range of our kinetic batteries in 17 minutes, responded Lieutenant Commander Wilson, the tactical officer. "Even with our stealth systems, they'll detect us when we power weapons. We'll have approximately 3 seconds of surprise." Elena nodded. "That's all we need. Coordinate firing solutions with the rest of Strike Group Alpha. Target their command ships first, then their communications arrays. We need to disrupt their ability to organize a coherent response." As the bridge crew carried out her orders, Elena opened a secure channel to Admiral Chen. "Admiral, Strike Group Alpha is in position. Awaiting your final authorization." Chen's weathered face appeared on her private screen. "Status of the Ashtari fleet? Proceeding exactly as expected. No indication they've detected any of our vessels. Their shields are at standard cruise configuration." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Captain Reyes, you understand what we're about to do? Once we fire the first shot, there's no going back. Humanity becomes a target for the entire Galactic Council." "With respect, sir, we already are. The only difference is whether we fight on our terms or theirs." A thin smile crossed Chen's face. "Well said, Captain. The Security Council has given final authorization. Operation Sunburst is a go. Show them what humanity can do." The connection closed, and Elena turned back to her bridge crew. "Battle stations. Disengage stealth systems on my mark and prepare to fire all weapons." Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency to their combat positions. The Defiant's engines hummed as they powered up to full capacity, ready for the high-speed maneuvers that would follow the initial attack. Elena felt a strange calm settle over her. 20 years of preparation had led to this moment. Whatever happened next, humanity would no longer hide in the shadows. "Strike Group Alpha, this is Captain Reyes," she said into the fleet channel. "Disengage stealth systems. Now." Across the void of space, 4 warships suddenly appeared where moments before there had been nothing. The Defiant, Intrepid, Valiant, and Phoenix, the vanguard of humanity's hidden arsenal. On the Ashtari Command Dreadnought, sensors blared warnings as the human vessels materialized less than 30,000 kilometers away, point-blank range in space combat terms. Confusion reigned as Ashtari officers struggled to understand where these unknown ships had come from and how they had approached undetected. "All ships fire," Elena commanded. The advanced kinetic batteries of Strike Group Alpha discharged in perfect synchronization. Specially designed projectiles accelerated to near light speed by electromagnetic rails, struck the Ashtari vessels before they could raise their shields to combat levels. The lead dreadnought's port side crumpled under the impact. 2 escort vessels spun out of formation, venting atmosphere. The Ashtari communication array exploded in a brilliant flash as precision fire from the Phoenix severed the Dominion fleet's ability to coordinate its response. "Direct hits on all primary targets," reported Lieutenant Commander Wilson, his voice tense but controlled. "Ashtari shields coming online now, they're powering weapons." Elena nodded grimly. "Execute evasive pattern Delta. Launch ECM drones to confuse their targeting systems." The strike group scattered, each ship following a pre-programmed flight path, designed to present the most difficult target possible. From hidden positions throughout the solar system, more Shadow Fleet vessels were now powering up, preparing to join the battle from unexpected vectors. On the main view screen, Elena watched as the Ashtari fleet struggled to respond to the sudden attack. Their rigid command structure, accustomed to overwhelming less advanced species with sheer force, was proving inflexible in the face of humanity's guerrilla tactics. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Ashtari command ship," announced Lieutenant Rodriguez. "Audio only." "Let's hear it," Elena replied. The bridge speakers crackled to life with the translated voice of an Ashtari commander, the translation software struggling to convey the mixture of rage and disbelief in the aliens' tone. "Unauthorized human vessels, you have committed an act of war against the Ashtari Dominion and the Galactic Council. Your primitive weapons cannot prevail against our might. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Elena exchanged glances with Commander Park. The Ashtari still didn't understand what they were facing. "No response, Lieutenant," she ordered. "Let our actions speak for us." As if on cue, another wave of Shadow Fleet vessels decloaked behind the Ashtari formation. The UES Courage, leading Strike Group Bravo, launched a barrage of missiles at the enemy's unprotected rear. The battle for humanity's future had begun, and for the first time in their long history of conquest, the Ashtari Dominion found themselves facing an enemy they had fatally underestimated. Across the solar system, the carefully hidden elements of humanity's defense network were activating. Weapon platforms concealed in asteroid belts, surveillance systems disguised as research satellites, automated drone carriers hidden beneath the surfaces of distant moons, all coming online in a coordinated sequence designed to achieve maximum tactical surprise. The Shadow Fleet was revealing itself at last, and the galaxy would never be the same. First strike, the vacuum of space doesn't transmit sound, but if it could, the solar system would have been filled with the thunder of battle. The Ashtari fleet, caught by surprise and split by the coordinated attack of strike groups Alpha and Bravo, was struggling to regroup. "Multiple hits on Ashtari vessels," Lieutenant Commander Wilson reported, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Their formation is breaking down. 2 of their escort ships have been disabled. The lead dreadnought is venting atmosphere from 3 decks." Elena nodded, her face illuminated by the glow of weapons fire visible through the bridge viewport. "Status of our shields?" "Holding at 87%, responded Lieutenant Santos from the engineering station. "The Ashtari energy weapons aren't as effective against our adaptive shields as their simulations probably predicted." A small victory, but Elena knew, better than to celebrate too early. The Ashtari were stunned, not defeated. They still outnumbered Shadow Fleet by a significant margin, and once they recovered from their shock, they would fight with everything they had. "Captain, new contacts emerging from FTL at the edge of the system," announced the sensor officer. "Reading 7 vessels, Ashtari reinforcements." Commander Park moved to Elena's side. "They must have had a quick response force stationed nearby. They're faster than we anticipated." Elena studied the tactical display. The new Ashtari vessels were smaller than the dreadnoughts, likely fast attack cruisers designed for rapid deployment. "They're heading directly for Earth," she noted grimly. "They want to establish orbital superiority and threaten civilian populations." was a predictable tactic. The Ashtari frequently used the threat of planetary bombardment to force compliance. But humanity had prepared for this too. "Open a channel to the Phantom," Elena ordered. The communications officer worked his console. "Channel open, Captain." "Commander Jackson, this is Captain Reyes. Begin Operation Gatekeeper." On the small stealth frigate UES Phantom, positioned in high Earth orbit, Commander Darius Jackson received the transmission with grim satisfaction. A former special operations officer, Jackson had spent the last 5 years preparing for this exact scenario. "Acknowledged, Captain Reyes. Phantom commencing Operation Gatekeeper." Jackson turned to his bridge crew. "Activate the orbital defense grid." Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of seemingly innocuous satellites, officially registered as weather monitoring or communications platforms, suddenly transformed. Panels slid open to reveal weapon systems, and dormant power cores surged to life. This was Earth's hidden defensive perimeter, disguised in plain sight. The Ashtari observers had cataloged these satellites years ago and dismissed them as primitive technology. They had no idea that each one contained advanced weaponry that could target and destroy ships in orbit. As the Ashtari reinforcements accelerated toward Earth, they suddenly found themselves facing an unexpected obstacle, a wall of defensive fire that erupted from the supposedly defenseless planet below. Back on the Defiant, Elena watched as the orbital defense grid engaged the Ashtari reinforcements. 2 enemy vessels were immediately caught in crossfire, their shields flaring bright as they absorbed the unexpected barrage. "Captain, Admiral Chen is requesting a status update," reported Lieutenant Rodriguez. "Put him through," Elena responded, never taking her eyes off the tactical display. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the command screen. "Captain Reyes, I see the Gatekeeper defense grid has been activated. How are we holding up against their main fleet?" "Better than expected, Admiral. Strike Groups Alpha and Bravo have disrupted their formation. Strike Group Charlie is moving into position to cut off their retreat. The Ashtari are struggling to coordinate their response now that we've taken out their primary communications array." Chen nodded. "Good. Our intelligence suggests they're attempting to send a distress signal to the nearest Ashtari military outpost in the Proxima Centauri system. That cannot happen. If they call in their main battle fleet, even Shadow fleet won't be able to hold them off." "Understood, sir. We'll target any vessels attempting long-range communications." "See that you do. And Captain, the Security Council is watching this battle carefully. The future of our species depends on our success today." As the Admiral's image faded, Elena turned to her XO. "Commander Park, prepare a strike team to board the Ashtari command ship. We need their command codes and any intelligence they might have about reinforcements." Park raised an eyebrow. "A boarding action? That's high risk, Captain." "So is letting the Ashtari regroup. We need to maintain the momentum of our surprise attack." Elena's expression was determined. "Assemble a team from security and intelligence personnel. I want our best people on this." As Park moved to carry out her orders, the tactical officer called out, "Captain, the Ashtari dreadnoughts are changing formation. They're creating a defensive sphere around their command ship." Elena studied the display. The Ashtari were finally organizing an effective response. The element of surprise was fading. "Signal Strike Group Delta to move in from the ecliptic plane," she ordered. "Let's keep them off balance." In the command center of the Ashtari flagship, High Commander Zix Tarl was struggling to comprehend how a supposedly primitive species had mounted such an effective counterattack. The humans were using technologies that should have been centuries beyond their capability, stealth systems that had allowed them to approach undetected, weapons that penetrated Ashtari shields with unexpected efficiency, and defensive systems that adapted to Ashtari attack patterns. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science officer. "Your reports indicated the humans were at least 300 cycles from developing effective space combat capabilities." The science officer's mandibles clicked nervously. "All observations supported that assessment, High Commander. Their official fleet consists of chemical-propelled vessels with minimal energy weapons. These ships, they should not exist." Zix Taral's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. a sign of extreme agitation in his species. They deceived us. They presented a facade of technological inferiority while building this shadow fleet in secret. We are attempting to send a distress signal to the Proxima outpost, reported his communications officer. But the humans are jamming our long-range transmissions. Zix Terrell moved to the tactical display, studying the battle unfolding around his fleet. The humans were employing hit-and-run tactics, striking from unexpected vectors, then disappearing before the Ashtari could lock weapons. It was not the behavior of a primitive species fighting in desperation. It was the carefully coordinated strategy of a force that had prepared for this conflict for years. "High Commander, human vessels approaching from below the ecliptic plane," warned his tactical officer. "Redirect defensive fire. Do not let them." The command center shuddered as another impact struck the flagship. Emergency lighting activated. As primary systems flickered. "Hull breach on decks 7 through 9, reported the damage control officer. "We've lost power to the starboard weapons array." Zix Terrell felt something he had not experienced in his long military career: doubt. The Ashtari Dominion had subjugated dozens of species across the galaxy, always following the same pattern. Identify promising civilizations, restrict their development while extracting their resources, and crush any resistance with overwhelming force. But the humans had somehow broken that pattern. They had hidden their true capabilities, waiting for the moment when the Ashtari would reveal their intentions. "High Commander, the human vessels are deploying some kind of drones," the sensor officer reported hesitantly. "Destroy them," Zix Terrell ordered. "We're trying, but they're too small and fast for our targeting systems to lock on. They're approaching our hull." Zix Terrell felt a chill run down his exoskeleton. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were hunting. Aboard the UES Phantom, Commander Darius Jackson watched as Earth's orbital defense grid systematically dismantled the Ashtari reinforcements. 2 enemy vessels had already been disabled, their engines and weapons destroyed by precision fire. The others were retreating, shields failing under the constant barrage. "Commander, Captain Reyes is requesting assistance with a boarding operation on the Ashtari flagship," his communications officer reported. Jackson nodded. "Tell her we're on our way. The defense grid can handle these stragglers." The Phantom was the perfect vessel for such a mission. Smaller than a standard frigate, it was designed for stealth and special operations. Its hull was coated with metamaterials that absorbed sensor scans, and its engines were specially modified to leave minimal thermal signatures. "Plot an intercept course with the Ashtari flagship," Jackson ordered, "and prep the breach pods. We're going to give Captain Reyes the support she needs." As the Phantom accelerated away from Earth orbit, Jackson felt a surge of grim satisfaction. For 5 years he had trained his crew for exactly this type of operation: infiltrating enemy vessels, extracting intelligence, and if necessary, sabotaging critical systems. The Ashtari had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they were facing a humanity that had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Back on the Defiant, Elena was coordinating the multi-pronged attack against the Ashtari fleet. Strike Groups Alpha and Bravo were engaging the main force, while Strike Group Charlie had moved to cut off any potential retreat. Now, with the addition of Strike Group Delta attacking from below the ecliptic plane, the Ashtari were completely surrounded. "Captain, the boarding team is assembled and ready in Launch Bay 2, reported Commander Park. "Good. The Phantom is en route to support the operation. Once they arrive, launch the boarding pods." Elena studied the tactical display. The battle was going better than their simulations had predicted. The Ashtari, accustomed to overwhelming less advanced species with brute force, were struggling to adapt to humanity's unconventional tactics. But she knew better than to become complacent. The Ashtari Dominion had conquered half the galaxy through ruthless efficiency and technological superiority. They wouldn't accept defeat easily. "Captain, we're detecting power fluctuations in the Ashtari flagship," announced Lieutenant Commander Wilson. "They appear to be diverting all available energy to their main weapon systems." Elena's eyes narrowed. "They're preparing for an all-out assault," Signal all strike groups to prepare for evasive maneuvers. Before she could issue further orders, the tactical officer called out, "New contacts dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system. Multiple signatures. They don't match Ashtari configurations." The bridge fell silent as the sensor data resolved to show a fleet of vessels unlike anything they had seen before. Sleek, organic-looking ships with flowing lines that seemed to blend with the darkness of space. "Are they hostile?" Elena demanded. "Unknown, Captain. They're not responding to hails and they're not broadcasting any recognition codes." Elena felt a cold knot form in her stomach. Had the Ashtari called in allies that human intelligence hadn't identified? Was this the end of humanity's bid for independence before it had truly begun? The mysterious fleet hung at the edge of the solar system, observing the battle but not engaging. Then, without warning, they began to move, accelerating toward the conflict at speeds that suggested advanced propulsion systems. "All ships, maintain focus on the Ashtari," Elena ordered. "But keep sensors locked on the new arrivals. If they show any hostile intent, be prepared to redirect fire." On the bridge view screen, the unknown vessels grew larger as they approached the battlefield. Everyone waited with bated breath to see which side, if either, these